Okay. Earrings and glasses. Whew. Okay, can anybody, not even, is it registering? Yeah. Okay. I brought some books in tonight. All right, already having fun in the back. We have got so much to go through tonight, it's crazy. This course was designed for like 2 hours, so we just have to go at warp speed to get it all in. I have pictures tonight. All right, welcome back. So, do you see how few, there's some people that have dropped off, do you see? All right. We scared them away, or this, let's just think the snow scared them away, right? The inevitable snow. Welcome back. So, how many people were here last week? All right. How many people aren't here tonight that were here last week? Got her. How many people are brand new? Oh, see, fair amount. Yeah, welcome. So, are you recruits from other people, or did you come on your own? Recruits, yeah. Cool. Okay. So we can't chit chat too much. So I have to get right to business. But my name is Jill. I'm the center manager here, and I'm going to do the annual appeal plug first because I'm leading the annual appeal and forgot to do it last week. So when they said, "Did anybody do it Tuesday night?" I'm like, that'd be mean. I forgot. So, what is an annual appeal? Some of you don't come on Sunday morning. How many of you have ever been here on Sunday mornings besides Laura? You've been here? Okay, so you've heard me talking about this a lot. But we are we're just inspiring generosity. So that's a good way to put that. So for all of the ways that you can give at the center, there's financial ways to give, and then service, in-kind donations like bringing in toilet paper and snacks in the cafe, or doing circumambulations around the stupa. So have you guys been around the stupa? Ever? Okay. Laura, you want to walk around the stupa? So it's really good to purify the mind, and there's all kinds of reasons. You can read about it on the website, and there's a flyer out at the table for the annual appeal. And when you do, there's some jars outside there that you can now, for this year, we're going to count circumambulations for the annual appeal. It's like, I either need hair or no hair. So how many circumambulations can we do in a year? We did 2,500,000 Mani mantras for the last appeal. So we're going to try to see how many circumambulations we can get. So if you go around it, just drop a stone in to equal how many times you've been around. And for those of you who'd like to, this is the packet that we mail out about the annual appeal. So you can just pick one up when you leave. There's some out on the table. We're trying to gain $177,000. So it takes $255,000 to run the center a year. And about 80 of it comes in through all our visiting teachers and general donations and all that. So we have to get the rest of it through funds just to keep the doors open and pay your center manager and things like that. So we have about a $9,000 gap to get to our budget. So anybody who's, we don't like to always ask new people, give money, but just putting it out there. So I'm just going to show you some books really quick. I showed you a bunch last week. These are two little nuggets that are from our teachers, our spiritual director is Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and Lama Yeshe passed in the 80s. So How to Be Happy, I think that works for everybody. And then When the Chocolate Runs Out. So this is a great little book. These are good gifts, too, for people. And this is Pema Chodron. Have you guys heard of Pema Chodron? She's pretty famous. Thupten Chodron, Pema Chodron. So she's a nun she hasn't come through this center, Thupten Chodron has. But have you heard of, let's see, what is the other book? I forgot. What are the names of them? When Things Fall Apart. And then Don't Bite the Hook. I think that's one of them. So she's got a lot of books out there. And she also has a lot of YouTube. So you guys can go home and listen to a lot of things on YouTube, too, for meditation. So I just thought I'd show you another meditation book by her. Oh, When Things Fall Apart. That's this one. This is how to meditate. So this one is, they're both Pema Chodron. Have you heard of the Book of Joy? Yeah? Yeah, I'm in the middle of reading this. I'm reading it with our Christian software technology guru. He helps me out, and we're going to read this together. So this is the Dalai Lama with Desmond Tutu, and it is precious. Have you seen them boogieing on the back? Monks aren't really supposed to boogie. He knows that, but he can get away with it. So this is the curriculum book that we kind of go by, Kathleen McDonald, How to Meditate. So who got that last week? Did you open it? Good. This is a great book. So this is just filled with meditations. This is a book about meditations, but it literally is just filled with them. So you kind of have to read, meditate. One thing you can do, we all got smartphones. It might be a little weird. You could let somebody else do it, but you can read these meditations onto your voice memos and then play them back. And if your own voice freaks you out, just get somebody you like to do it. I mean, who wants to hear their own voice, right? Hey, guys. I got some kids. Oh, here's the meditation for dummies. I used to have a thing about being called a dummy. I can deal with it now that I'm Buddhist. So we sold the last copy that was on sale. So this is now the current version, the 3rd edition. Somebody here got the last one, and there is a CD in there. So that's a good one. And then 2 kids' books, Mindful Monkey, Happy Panda, so if you have children. And then I haven't read these, but I guess they're probably good. Sitting Together, a family-centered curriculum on mindfulness. So I thought if you had children, you might just like to see that. Can I hand these to you, Linda? Since it's takes up a hunk of room. Thank you. This is a lovely Linda, the assistant for tonight. All right. Who tried to meditate last week? Good. Very good, very good. I'm not going to say was it good or bad, just you did it. That's the main thing. So usually we try to encourage people, and I'm going to do it in the beginning of class, to create, I forgot it last week, to create a little nest at home somewhere. Somewhere, it might be in your closet. You might have an entire room that could be a gampa. Some people have that. But if you have to hide away in a corner, stick a cushion there, you know, it's just important to carve a place that's going to be your own. And you don't want it to be, of course, too noisy. And then I've heard the teachers say to go ahead and try out different parts of your house. Depends on how big your house is. As someone used to say in the one I used to live in, like, where's your other part of your house? This is it. So if you have to sit in the tub and meditate, but try different parts of your house, because you may find that one spot feels a little better than another spot. So just sit facing different directions, and just try it out. But it's supposed to be really helpful if there's a consistent place that you go to, because then apparently if you don't stay too long and drive yourself crazy trying to meditate, you eventually will look at this cushion with longing. And that's what you want to create, is this sense of like, oh, I can't wait to meditate again. So if you create that place, then you have your nest that you pass by and go, I wish I was there. So I encourage you to do that. Class 2. Does everybody have their cell phones off or on meditate? Because invariably they will ring and buzz and vibrate and do all kinds of crazy things. We have gone through the 7-point sitting posture last week. So we have so much to do. Does anybody want a little touch up on that, or you want to skip it? Yes. So legs. A couple things that help is to try to let the knee, and if you're sitting, this won't relate, but try to let the knees be below the hips. So even if you're kind of comfortable, if the knees are kind of sticking up and above the hips, it could eventually hurt. And so we're trying to create longevity for this. So even if sometimes you can stick a little cushion or a blanket underneath right at the base of your spine and give you that last little lift. So the legs are your stable place. If you can sit in full Vajra is really mostly impossible for most people. That's one leg on the thigh and the other leg on the other thigh. We're not trying to do that. We were raised with furniture. I would venture to guess most of us were raised with furniture. When I was in an Indian woman's house one time, she just had a lovely home, and I said something. She mentioned that she used to just have carpets and a typical Indian home. And I said, so what's the difference in this home, this set, and others? And she went, oh, the bed. So it really isn't, our bodies they don't do the best sitting on chairs. So if we were sitting on the floor all the time as children, see how much easier it would be to meditate and be in Vajra position. So be gentle with yourself and don't think you're failing if you can't even sit on the floor. But I like to stack the feet like this gentleman has, with one foot on top of the other. And then they're not tucked under, because if you tuck it under, you can cut the circulation off. So that helps. Your hands can be, as we talked last week, you can kind of have them open. If your shoulders tend to roll in, you can try that. If I talk with my arms, everything falls backwards. So you can have them like this. Some people close their finger like an energy circuit. That's not really our tradition, but you can try that. Then you can just have them on your knees. Sometimes Geshe will do this to show you what it looks like here, and people will just do this. And we're like, so on your knees. And then the other way in this tradition is to take the right hand and place it on top of the left and comfortably place the thumbs together as if you were holding a little piece of paper. And then put that 4 inches, just settle it into your belly, 4 inches beneath the navel. As we said last week, you can rest it on your lap. So some teachers will tell you, no, 4 inches beneath the belly. Other ones, rest on your lap. So I'll let you decide. Arms, the reason I didn't tell you last week, the reason the arms are kind of open like this, instead of closed, like if I do this, see how they're closed and touching? Because this makes you sweat more. So it's really practical. So if you open your arms, and you're going to do this for a long time, the air can flow. We aren't probably going for hours at a stretch, so it's not really terribly critical. Maybe we can get there. The spine, nice and straight. So the metaphors for that are like a stack of coins, uncooked spaghetti, zipping up the wetsuit. We do that in yoga a lot. So we talk about lifting, like the pelvis kind of rolls forward, tailbone up, and then the shoulders down. And so generally, it depends on the way that your head is structured, but sometimes people, and I do this, like you're not trying to be snotty, but the chin will just elevate. And that's not great for the cervical collar in the back. So lift the top of your head by your bobble hair tie and lift it up like that, like you've got a marionette being lifted up, so the back of the top of the head. And that will slightly lower the chin, and it's apparently a really comfortable position to be in to meditate. The mouth is very lightly closed with the tongue placed on the top of the mouth behind the front row of teeth. Who remembers why? Did I say last week? Not to drool, yeah. Very heady intellectual meaning behind that one. The eyes, as we talked last week, are very softly open or softly closed. So I suggested that you guys try it open if you've never meditated before, so you could kind of get used to that because it lets more light in. Is that good? Any questions on the body? All right. So let's just start off. I'm going to merge the two we did last week. They've asked us to do like 5 meditations tonight, which, well, that's great. That's going to be a little difficult. So I'm going to just start us off counting and then merge into the one where we do the bare attention. So we merge them together. Are you ready? So I've also suggested if you're on the chairs and you want to try coming to the, oh, there's not much room. Forget that. Or you can put a cushion on the floor and come back and forth. Yeah, you can come back and forth. Okay. Move your body into its natural seated position. And begin to focus your attention on your breathing. You may find the breath at the base of the nostrils, or maybe the temperature of the breath as it enters, or the way your belly feels, or your chest as you breathe in and out. Just find a little spot that works for you. And just for a moment, begin to count your breaths, going from 1 to 10, and if it works for you to go back from 10 to 1. And if your mind wanders, just start over. Or if it wanders and you can't bring it back, you don't know where you went, start over. If you catch it, just keep counting. Try to drop the breath down deep into your belly, letting it balloon out when you breathe in, and retracting it slightly when you breathe out. And now we'll set our motivation. So you can think that you're meditating not only just for your own individual benefit, but you're taking the time to meditate, develop your mind, become wiser, more kind, more able to benefit all beings. You turn your attention back to the breath if it has moved away, at the opening of the nostrils or wherever you've chosen. Pay attention to the very subtle sensations as you breathe in and out through your nose. Noticing the details of the little small hairs moving, the cooler sensations as you inhale, the warmer ones as you exhale. You're not trying to follow the air into your body or out into the surrounding environment, but placing your attention on the sensations, right at the nostrils. And you can begin to think of yourself as the gatekeeper, watching the breath flow as it enters and exits the body, keenly observing everything that arises in this area of your focus. You might find it helpful in the beginning to concentrate, to even note the words in and out with each exhalation and inhalation. So we're using the breath as an anchor for our attention. And if the mind gets scattered or distracted, place more emphasis on the element of concentration, more concentration on the breath. Distractions are very normal. You know, sounds in the room, sensations in the body. So if these things take precedent, just note them by maybe saying thinking or sensation without any judgment, without getting upset or disturbed by your thoughts. Very gently disengage from the thought or the distraction and return your attention to the breath. And once you gain a deeper level of concentration and focus, you can begin to loosen your concentration slightly and place greater emphasis on the element of mindfulness in your meditation. Allow your mind to be attentive and observant of whatever comes, noticing regardless what it is. Not to identify with these elements, just notice them. You're being like a tourist. So you allow them to arise, observe them, they pass away, no involvement, just being aware. As you gain greater mastery over this kind of meditation, each time the mind wanders, You'll be able to note it, how it has wandered. Is it going to the past, the present? Are you planning in the future? What kinds of thoughts are giving your attention over? And you can use this as an indication about the delusions that play a role in your life. You can also use this technique in and throughout the day to see whether you're being mindful on the subject. Are you completely aware of what you're doing while you're doing it? And in this way, meditation is not an isolated activity, but an integral part of our lives. And now we dedicate all the positive energy of this meditation to become better and better, more at peace, so that we can bring peace and well-being to others in every moment of every day. So I know a lot of you liked that last time when we did that, but we also did it after we did everything else. You like that one? So did it feel different doing it as the first one? Was it easier or harder? Easier? Because you'd already done it? Okay, yeah?
I thought it was a little bit easier because I wasn't remembering the previous ones we had done.
Okay. Yeah, people tend to like this one. Is it just because someone's talking softly to you, or do you like the subject matter of it? Okay. One thing this is just an aside, my little funny way to talk about it, but I think it does help to label those thoughts. So did that kind of help you to not follow the story? So the difference in that would be, I always use this Jaguar. You're in your car. What are we driving? Let's drive a Prius. It's a Buddhist car. We have so many Priuses here. So you're in your little cute Prius, and next to you pulls up this Jaguar with a hot other sex or same sex, whatever you like. And you're just sitting in your car at the red light and you go, nice, whichever thing works for you. So if you just go, first it's the car, right? Nice. And if you just say, oh my God, that's sweet. And then the light turns green and you drive on, that's just noticing. Pleasant. It wasn't very unpleasant. Pleasant, right? You look in the car, you see the person, you're like, ooh, yeah. Whatever, pleasant. It's over. The green light goes, you take off. What a story looks like is, how come they get a Jaguar and I'm driving a Prius? I'm never going to get that raise. Well, I work at a center, so just like this, and then just why do they have, why is my car got it? Why can't I want to, and then I probably could never afford that payment, on and on and on. And then you start on the person. Could go on and on and on, stories that you would, all the kinds of things like, I wish I was dating somebody like that, or, nobody's ever going to love me. Oh, just like, so the stories get you in trouble, and they can lead you to actually take an action upon that. You could be like, all kinds of stuff can happen, right? But if you just notice, there's no trouble there. You're just noticing. You're like, nice car, beautiful person. I'm happy for them. And then if you want to add cream to your cake, or that doesn't make sense, cream to your coffee, then you say, I'm so happy they have a nice car. Good for them. They must have worked hard for it. Or somebody gave it to them and they had the good karma to get it. You're just happy. There doesn't have to be anything else involved. So that's a very happy way to live. Now imagine if we didn't tell any stories at all during the day. or while we're sleeping or, going to bed, waking up, and then the stories start. The stories are where all the problem is. They're not real. They're just getting you into trouble by thinking things, derogatory thoughts towards yourself or exaggerated thoughts towards someone else or backwards and forwards. So that's kind of the idea in meditation. It's the same thing, right? The thought arises. Next time you meditate, you might say, jaguar. What did we say last week? What was our word? Mashed potatoes? Yeah, mashed potatoes. So it's jaguar tonight. Jaguar. And then you tell yourself, like, I'm not going to think about it. So that's the same thing you can do with all those thoughts. Was everybody swimming in thoughts tonight? Yeah. It comes and goes. So all you're trying to do, the main thing we want to just, there's a lot of main things. That's kind of funny. One thing is, it's just so vital if you tell yourself you're not trying to get rid of the thoughts or push them away or not have any thoughts at all. You're just simply trying to have control over them, to not notice them and to not follow the stories. So if you're counting and you go 1 and then you get to 4 and you go 6, then you've forgotten the plot, go back and start over. But if you go 4, jaguar, 5, then you keep going. You brought your mind back. So it's when you bring your mind back, you've trained your mind to bring your mind back. So if it wanders, that's great, because then you can learn to bring it back. I mean, if it doesn't wander, great, but it's probably going to happen. So you are training your mind, and we talked about neuroplasticity last week. So it's a good thing that it wanders, because then you have more and more ability to get it to come back. So no beating up there. All right. So let's, do you want to do the mic? Should we maybe, I know the beginners, shouldn't say I know, most beginners don't really like to talk into a mic. So why do you think we talk into the mic? Yeah, but we could probably hear each other, right? Like if you were to turn around and talk, it's because 300,000 people are streaming with us tonight. So you can wave to all the streamers. Streamers and dreamers. So they are, and they can only see up here, so you don't have to worry. They can't see you. So I'm the one waving, and they can see me. So if this is what it sounds like when you listen to the recording, I go, oh, please tell me your name again. Julia. Julia, she starts talking, and then you hear. And then I start talking again. So it's really boring for the people that are streaming. So we want to hear the questions. So if you will be so kind as to use the microphone. And you have to place it really close like an ice cream cone, or it doesn't work. So if you have it down here and you start waving it, nobody will pick it up. So the question is, what is it? Again, go over the difference between concentration and mindfulness. Who wants to tackle that? Linda has to do it if nobody else raises her hand. So she really doesn't want to do it.
Come on, somebody.
She doesn't want to. I know her.
Concentration versus mindfulness.
Yes. Concentration versus mindfulness. We got one. A live wire. You say your name too.
My name's Michael.
Michael. Hello, Michael.
I think really close.
Really close.
Like they're touching it.
Yeah, like you're a movie star.
Like
Rock star.
karaoke. Well, most of my concentration every day is at work. And then my mindfulness is kind of why I'm here, because my mindfulness is much of my care about and learned about and been advised about. That's why I'm here, to make a focus on a concentration, mindfulness, to transition from the workplace to home and be, well, I get paid to be productive at work.
Do you get paid to be productive at home? Not yet, right? Okay.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, so concentration and mindfulness, thank you. Who's got another view of that?
I'm Megan, and I think mindfulness is maybe something in the back of your head, and concentration is something that you're thinking about right at the front, maybe.
Interesting. Okay. Who else has got something they want to say about it? Yeah, I thought he might read. I could see it, because I can see your guys' faces. It's like, it's coming. It's like my dad getting ready to tell a joke. You could see it coming.
Yes, my name is Miles.
Miles.
It's concentration is focus, and mindfulness is openness.
Mm-hmm. Linda, do you have anything else to add to it?
Let's see. Concentration would be maybe when you're putting a lot of focus into one thing. Mindfulness is really paying attention to everything.
She's been through the course.
It's in the book too.
Yeah, it's in the book. She's got to teach it next, so she has to know. So mindfulness is what you use to concentrate. So everybody's a little bit right, but if I wanted to rob a bank, would I need concentration? Yeah. Yeah, if I want to get away with it. If I don't want the alarm to go off. And then I need my mindfulness, if I'm getting ready to rob this bank, to just know my surroundings, know what's going on, be very attentive to everything, to have made my plan, be very mindful. But if I want to concentrate on cutting all those wires just right, I got to be able to concentrate. Takes a team. I just want to wear black clothing and little beanies. I just always wanted, I don't want to steal anything. I just always wanted to be like Audrey Hepburn or something. So you have to be mindful to be able to concentrate. And I think sometimes we get really confused by that. But you're using your concentration. So when you're meditating, the amount of concentration, for me, I'll just say for me, is very little, because the mind's just wandering. So you're trying to build up the muscle, hey, Aaron, of mindfulness to be able to apply it to the concentration. And if he had been asked that question, he would have been able to answer that. Mindfulness and concentration. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dig it. Okay. So, did anybody have any obstacles that they wanted to talk about? Because we always talk about, I'm saying a lot of them, but does anybody else have an obstacle to give you room to say it while you're at home or tonight or during meditation? Great. Okay, Julia, and then we'll go to the back. Not that I know how to, do anything about it.
The counting is almost distracting to me. I don't know. It doesn't seem. I think
nodding.
I'm not doing it right, or I get distracted. I'm making up a story around
Do you
counting.
think,
I don't
do
know.
you really think that you're not counting right?
I don't
One,
see. This is the problem. you know what it is? It's the counting when you breathe in and the counting when you breathe
okay.
out, and then reversing it. I'm like, whoa.
Okay. So inhale, exhale. All through the nose. Inhale. That's how that goes. Some people might like to do each breath, but I think that our teachers always tell us to do, or each breath, inhale, exhale as 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. But generally speaking, it's inhale is 1 and then you just exhale. Sometimes you could say inhale 1, exhale 1. You can have all kinds of little things. But it can be distracting for people. I think we were talking last week of those people who walk up the steps and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they count coins 5. And everything you do, you count. It's just a thing. So I've noticed that those people find they're just really counting, like it's all about the counting. So it becomes too distracting. Yeah, is that how you feel? Yeah. So no big deal. It's not like you're doing it wrong, right? What did we say last week? You can't do this. You can't do this wrong. There you go. So we have to let go of all of our judgments because it's really easy for a lot of Westerners to judge the crap out of ourselves. Okay, in the back.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Sharon. One of the obstacles, I have 2 obstacles. When I'm meditating, I have a lot of earworms. So last week I had 2 songs. Tonight, so far, I have 1. And it keeps intruding while I'm trying to concentrate. And I am empathic in nature. And so I have a hard time shutting off what I feel from other people and
Sorry.
what I perceive as other people's needs. So sometimes it feels very selfish to close my eyes and do the meditation when I sense that people have things going on.
People in front of you just went, oh my God. So the first thing you said was earworms. How many people thought you meant worms? So there's a book, Musicophilia, and he just Sacks. Somebody Sacks. Oliver Sacks. He just passed away. Not Catholic, but that seems like what you're supposed to do. He wrote a book about just constant earworms. And I have, if somebody says they can't get a song out of their head, I just sing "Someone Left the Cake Out in the Rain." And it's really cruel. So there you go. But the music thing can be really tricky. So they are just constantly going in my head because I'm like a huge Burt Bacharach fan, so they don't ever stop. So you just let it be there like anything else. It can be the same thing if you've got your mother in your head, or your stepmother in your head, or your boss, or, really, it's all the same stuff, right? It just feels pervasive. Or like a ringing in your ears. Do you guys have that? So, yeah. So it's just one more thing, like an obstacle. But you just have to, the concentration will help. That's all I can say. Or you just kind of let it be there. Just enjoy the music, right? And then the second part was empathic. So I wouldn't say, you probably know that turning that off would not be selfish on some level, right? Because if you can quiet down.
It's still something I struggle with it personally, but even more so after becoming a mother, like it just feels like it went into hyperdrive and never turned down.
How old's your child now?
15.
Oh. Well, it'll get better with time. No, wait. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So you're tuned into people. That's kind of the goal, right? You just have to learn what is, when we do this, I said it last week, but I don't know if anybody I think I said it. The two wings of the bird are, I didn't say it. Linda knows it though.
Compassion and wisdom.
Yeah, I don't remember which one's which. So compassion and wisdom. So having compassion for yourself, and then having the wisdom to know where's your line. And so we're not there, right? So you're just playing with that line. I mean, I know that's not really much help, but meditation will help you to say, I'm not going to focus on anybody else right now because I'm trying to learn this. And this is my job, is to do this right now. So maybe that'll help if the more you meditate. Yeah. Aaron, did you have something?
I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but when I meditate, for the past 2 days, I feel these very strong emotions, and I try to examine the root cause of those, and that just led me down this rabbit hole, this never-ending rabbit hole, and I couldn't bring myself to get back to my breath.
Well, I do have an answer for that one. We talked last week about if you decide you wanted to meditate, let's say you're doing a compassion meditation. What is your subject? Compassion. And so if, this is really tricky for people. So you're working on compassion, and you can go through all parts of it, but if you've decided you want to work on compassion, and something comes up about something that you said with your mate or your boss that was really difficult, you could easily convince yourself that you're working on compassion and you're going to work on this difficult conversation. And so it seems right to do that in your meditation. It seems like, yeah, I'm so calm, I'm not mad anymore, they're not mad at me, I'm going to work on this right now. Is that the subject? What's your subject? So your mind just went, and you just wonder, why is it trying to do that? It's just constantly working. So the point of meditation is to stay on your subject. So if your point is your breath and something arises that is no different than an earworm, it is no different than a twitch, it's all just distraction. So if you can just grab that tonight, it's all just distraction. It's just all distraction. Then you kind of have permission to let it all go away. Later you can say, now I'm going to meditate on this feeling, or I'm going to think about this thought that came up in my meditation. So I would suggest not to work on it at all, because that's not your subject. It's a trick. Don't fall for it. Okay, there's one right here. Laura?
Yeah, I think that some people,
we don't know who, but some, right?
we don't know who, but yeah, may have some unresolved emotions from the past. So then those feelings might not feel like they're related to what the boss said today, but they just may feel like they're part of me, and at risk of dismissing them. I think for me, when I meditate, my left brain calms down. It stops sending me thoughts, but then I have emotions, and it feels, I just be with them, I don't dismiss them. I just be with them, and sometimes cry, sometimes get mad, but which is not exactly on the program that you're discussing. But I just wanted to put that out there because
Well, feeling it might be like just letting it be there, but not
Yeah.
going down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out
Right.
where it came from.
not
You can
stoking
do that
it
later.
right, not stoking it with thoughts, just being
Right.
with like what you said, mindful of what arises. Because certain things, if you engage them, they're going to get stronger, and certain things, if you push them away, they're going to get stronger because they have to get stronger to get your attention. So if you I would say mindfulness versus the concentration. Yeah.
Just being with the emotion. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. All right. One more thing, and then was there somebody? Chris, was that you? Oh, okay. Oh, right there. That's right.
Hey, Jill.
Hey,
So, when do you meditate? Like, I know you're at the center all the time, so it's easy to come in the Gampa and just be like, oh. But your life before this, because, okay, work,
Yeah.
kids,
Oh, that question?
I tend to put it off, like working out. Like, oh, I'll do it in an hour. I'll do it. And then, you know what I mean? So,
I'm the worst meditator in the room. I write, ever since I started this job, it's been very difficult. So generally speaking, they say it's best to do it in the morning because, you haven't fully engaged. So I will just say what Shanka, when he taught the class on establishing a daily practice, and it worked when I was first practicing and when I just had more time. But it depends on when your kids go to school. And your schedule keeps changing. But the most beautiful time I enjoyed was when I would just get up before she was awake and made a cup of tea, read a little Dharma, and tried to read about what I was in class for, or just whatever, a little bit of Dharma, not just like Outlander. And then sat down and did the practice. And there's a practice, there's all different ways of practice, but if you're just starting, then you begin to meditate on your breath, and then you meditate, if you want to do it analytical, on what you read. And so when I did it like that, it seemed to, because I really want to turn on NPR right when I wake up, which I do now, but I didn't turn the radio on or anything or play any music. So you try not to engage in the world first and set your time to do your practice first and then come out into the world. But, it doesn't always work. So some people do it at night, but it gets very sleepy, right? Some people do it right when they get home from work. That seems impossible to me, but some people like that. If your child's going from one grade to another, the time schedules change, the buses change, it gets to be really tricky. So where did we say last week was a place that you could meditate? Who's the guy that went out? Toilet. You're probably not going to sit in lotus, right? But oh God, who's getting a picture? So, but we're just saying that you're bringing your meditation into your life. So it's important to not be two things. Like, you're going to say both. You don't want to beat yourself up because you're not doing something, and you incorporate it into your life. But you do want to give yourself enough joyful effort, not just effort, to do it and push yourself to some limits. And then don't beat yourself up when you don't. So it's always a fine line, and everybody struggles with it. I want to do more. Oh, I can't do enough, But the one thing I do know is that if you do it like I'm doing, it doesn't work, where you say, I'll wait till I have more time. So even if you just said, if you just said one prayer, or if you don't say a prayer and you just do 5 minutes, that we can pretty much all do. But you do it consistently. That is so much more important than trying to wait till you have an hour, because that just doesn't always come. So every teacher I've ever met says consistency is so helpful. So just sit down. Like, some of my best meditations were just like, I've only got 5 minutes, and then really clear mind. And then you just take off for the day. So I encourage you to think about it that way instead of like, I can't get this in my life. Yeah. Does that help? Okay. All right. So we talked about, we got some more fun pictures. What is the mind? So the definition of mind, we didn't say it last week, so I will tell you, is clear and knowing. And that can be quite shocking. Because it's not the brain. We did talk about that. It's not the brain. We have one about the brain. I have them in backwards order. Oh, there it is. So who conducts the symphony? And then separate but equal. So the sides of the brain, there's two different sides, as Laura was talking about. but you know, we're trying to decide who's actually conducting what's going on here. The brain is functioning, but the mind is something separate. So the mind is clear and knowing, everybody's mind, not just like the Buddha's mind. And the ant's mind is clear and knowing. And the roach's mind is clear and knowing. A little shocking. So that's why we don't want to smash them, right? So if it's clear and knowing, that's how we become enlightened. If it wasn't clear and knowing at its base, you couldn't get there because it wouldn't make sense. Like you have to be able to get to its core. It's always there. So one time we were doing a Saturday morning meditation class, and I just pointed to the window, which was open, so this is not quite as effective, but you can imagine. It's glass behind that. So if it was filthy dirty with grime and dirt and just all kinds of stuff that we haven't washed it in years, but we could wash it, what's behind that dirt? I mean, glass. Yeah. The glass. So the glass is always there, and it is clear regardless how much dirt you put on top of it. It's pretty cool, isn't it? The glass is still glass, and it's clear. May not be knowing, but it's clear. So it's always clear regardless. And so we have just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of crap on top of all that. But at its base, your mind is clear and knowing underneath. So what we're trying to do is remove the stuff on top. So Windex is good, but I've heard that Blue Dawn is amazing. So we're just trying to clean it off, clean the mirror, clean the glass, all the metaphors. But it at its base, I mean, does that kind of make you feel hopeful? It's not really very depressing, because then everybody's mind is clear and knowing. And it gives you compassion for everybody's mind too, because they're just as clear and knowing as you are. Or you might feel they're more clear and knowing, but it's the same. The Buddha's mind is clear and knowing at its base. They're all clear and knowing. So that's what we're trying to kind of get in touch with. It's going to take some effort and some muscle. Yeah, it's worth trying, right? Yeah. Okay. So the mind and the body, they're connected. These things seem so funny now because now we're all like, of course. But back in the day when these were written, it was like a big deal to figure out that the mind and body are connected. So the mind is the source of our happiness and suffering. This one's kind of, I think it comes later, but I'm just going to do it now. So who likes this idea? Warm. Warm. Just out of the oven. Nobody's raising their hand. Anybody like brownies? Okay. Like, come on. Okay, 2 hands. So if this is where happiness existed, then the more I eat, the happier I get, right? She's barfing if you can't see it from there. So that big, I just Googled mountain of brownies and I got a big mountain of brownies. It just looks brown in the back probably, but it's a mountain of brownies, you can imagine. So if this was really made me happy, that would make me so happy. Oh my God.